necessarily push it in somebody's face and be like, oh, you have to do this. Like, you definitely don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask that because summer programs are really expensive, and it sometimes feels like there are so many free platforms that are out there. So if you want to have a look at the subject that they are teaching, then might as well just do a course of that subject on, Coursera, which is free. So definitely. And also, yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say the only time I would recommend a summer program is if it's a highly competitive summer program that's generally like recognized across colleges. And I mean, really highly competitive programs. So if you get into one of those, absolutely go for it. But if it's a generic summer program for a course or a subject that's, like kind of higher acceptance, like everyone's kind of going, then there's really no point. And I mean, like nationally ranked summer programs, then absolutely, those are incredible experiences. If you can apply for aid, which a lot of them do have, definitely do that. But if it's a generic regular summer program that you can do on your computer, do it on your computer. That's my point.
Yeah, totally. And also about your book, like, could you run us through the behind the scenes that happens when publishing a book, like first draft and then editing, or getting an editor to help you, and then manuscript and finding publishers and cover art, things like that?
Okay, so my editor was my mom, who is also on this talk right now. But so she really helped me. I mean, the editors were really my parents. They sat down, looked through it. I knew I could, I guess, trust their judgment, and I wanted to work with that. So that was personally my editing experience. When it came to the other things, though, I had to submit a first draft to Notion Press, as I stated earlier. I'm going to mostly talk about Warp because that was a more intense publishing process than Six Bullets, which was kind of just put on Amazon and then I called it a day. But with this, we did have to initially, for instance, send in 3 chapters. They reviewed it, called me, said, oh, we absolutely love it. Like, please, publish the rest with us. And I was like, great, sounds good. And I had to keep sending in Google documents. And then my dad or my mom would find one egregious mistake on page 47. Like, yeah, you need to fix this right now. And then I would fix it, look through it again, multiple little comments on it on the Google Docs / Word document that I would have to integrate into my work, and then be like, okay, this was a bad sentence. Maybe it doesn't need to exist. Forget bad sentence. There was a chapter that I ended up eliminating because it was totally useless and did not contribute to the plot in any way. So I ended up having like 3 drafts or 4 drafts at the end of it and submitting that. And finally, when you do submit it, that's when they start talking about cover art, where they had a cover artist talk to me. They sent me some random pictures and they were like, which one do you like? And then we'll work on the font and everything from there. And I think we exchanged a grand total of 17 emails about the cover itself. I hated them initially, began to slowly like it, and then my most recent one, I absolutely love the cover. So definitely a process. A lot of, but they're in charge of it. They will find the image, they will pay for the image if it's a paid image or copyright image. They will do that. They will send you 3 versions with that image with different fonts, and then you get to pick. So it's all up to you and your artistic or aesthetic appeal, but they will do that work for you. And then finally, they were like, okay, this is what it looks like. Back to front, are there any changes? Blah, 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 got that done. And then they completely, I think you had to pay for certain marketing packages. So there was like a standard package, a gold package, a this package, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure exactly which one we took. I can't remember. But the one that we ended up taking included featuring it at bookstores across the country, marketing it on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. And then from there, they take over the marketing. And yeah, I ended up having that available in bookstores, which is kind of exciting.
That's a great experience, and it's nice to hear an inside look at that. And also, keeping a check on the time. Let's move on to the next slide.
Perfect. Yes. So this is kind of just everything that I've talked about initially, but this was kind of my timeline. In ninth grade, I did the World Scholars Cup, which was a lot more of an experience that I would recommend back then. I think it's kind of become a very commercialized, everybody gets into every single round experience. So I would not recommend it anymore, but I really enjoyed it. I did it in 2017 Jan, and the final round was in November of 2017. So it took up the whole of grade 9 term 2 to grade 10 term 1. Super enjoyable. I loved it. My team ended up doing extremely well, so it was something that I put on my college app, but I would not say that it was an experience that was worth it for the students that did not do as well, and or were, because later I heard everybody was getting in. I would not recommend it anymore. But I did that in ninth grade, started writing my first book in ninth grade, and Model UN. Grade 10, again, like I said, World Scholars Cup.
Sorry to interrupt. So let's in the interest of time, let's go through a few of the we
absolutely, yes,
covered the stuff. So then the things that we haven't covered yet is let's see. Start college course. Was this the summer program that you were doing?
Summer program.
Okay.
MUN is a recurring theme. 10th board exams, then grade 11 took the SAT, participated in a musical, which is not something I talked about earlier, but I did do a musical. It was really exciting. I think it was at Good Shepherd Auditorium, 5 shows back to back, very fun. I was also part of the student council. I was the vice captain at Greenwood, the school vice captain. That was quite a bit of work, but a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Internship, Model United Nations, started No for Bulimia, and then grade 12 is when I started writing my essays, published both my books, Model UN. As part of student council, I had a lot of different work involved there, part of which included helping organizing Greenwood High MUN, which was our annual Model UN conference where I was an organizer and a culturalist, again on the organizing committee, and more school related events. And then in the IB, you had to do things like submitting your IAs and EEs, and that was done in January of 2020. And I would have had my IB boards, but I did not. So that would be in May of 2020, which is when I would have had it. Are there any questions here, or should I?
Yeah. What are IAs and EEs?
So this is a part of the IB diploma program where a part of the curriculum includes writing these things called internal assessments and extended essays. So for the IA, that's kind of like a mini research paper that you have to do in every single subject but the language. So I had to do an IA in chemistry, biology, math, and history. Yes. And you don't have to do an IA in English, but and then I chose to do my EE, which is my extended essay in English, and this is a more extensive research paper. So mine was, so it has to be up to 4,000 words, ideally between like 3,600 to 4,000 words on anything. So I chose English literature to be specific. So I ended up writing my extended essay on aesthetics and morality in the book, The Picture of Dorian Gray. I have friends who did it in physics. I have friends who did it in history. Lots of different options there.
Okay, wow. So that's like a practice into writing research papers, which is something that is there in college, right?
Absolutely. So I've actually found, because of my experience with IAs and EEs in IB, I wasn't sure I don't think there's any tangible benefit when you're applying to colleges, but when I got into college, I can safely say that while it might take other people like a week to do a research paper or like a smaller one, it generally takes me 2 days. Not because I'm superior, but because I have had practice in IB. So that is my positive takeaway.
Okay, so sometimes people are like, does your board matters in applying to colleges? It doesn't really. It's all about your dedication and your passion towards what you do. But
Absolutely.
Also sometimes little things in the board itself prepare you for what to expect in college. Like IB is for applying abroad, so if somebody wants to really apply abroad, then it does give you a good practice.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think the school you go to right now does not necessarily matter, or the board you're doing, as much as it might translate into positive benefits when you're actually in college. But in terms of applying to college, I have seen the same results across. Like, I have friends in A level who did the A levels who are in the same universities as my friends in IB and ICSE. Like, that does not necessarily matter as much.
Yeah, definitely. And let's move on to the next slide, which is applying to college.
Awesome. This is where I think most people have stress about. This is where most people are jittery. So hopefully this will ease nerves. For the Common App essay, my biggest takeaway, and also my biggest takeaway from talking to people that I'm friends with now in admissions offices, colleges love stories of growth or passion. I know I've added the exclamations here to really emphasize that. So it kind of looks all split up, but it's important. So I think two of the most important topics of conversation that colleges really want to see is they want to see, they don't want perfect students. They don't want students that have never hit any roadblocks or speed bumps. They want people who have faced some kind of failure. And I know everybody has. I know everybody's gone through a period where they've received a bad grade. And it could be just that small. For some, it could be a time when, for instance, my friend, she had colored her hair and it had not completely washed out, like died out before the student council speeches, and the teachers prevented her from giving her student council speech, so she was out of the running. And she ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to capitalize off of this moment, and that was her Common App essay, and it was wonderful. And now she's in one of her top schools. So it could be anything. It could be anything. And she basically took that experience and talked about how it demotivated her and made her feel upset, but she ended up finding, you know, a sense of identity and uniqueness, and actually championing this cause of allowing students to you know, have colored hair and stuff like that. So basically, colleges want to see your speed bumps, they want to see your roadblocks. If you've had for instance, if you had a really bad time in, I don't know, ninth grade, and your scores were mostly C's and B's, that is okay, as long as you can explain why that happened. So if you did really badly in ninth grade and it was something mental health related, or some serious health thing, or just anything, or you just weren't feeling it, talk about how you've improved, talk about how that changed you, talk about the wake-up call that your grades gave you. And colleges just want to see that you have learned from shortcomings and have improved / are willing to keep improving through the course of college as well. So pick out something that you think is valuable in you, no matter how little or big that moment is. So for me, the thing I taught obviously was how I had an eating disorder and was bullied, and how I managed to overcome that and not only find confidence in myself, but also help other people find that in themselves. Hopefully, hopefully I've been able to do that. But yeah, that was my story. I know other stories though. I have a friend who wrote a story about her crippling fear of butterflies, and how this was similar to how she was kind of shy around people. And then the end of the essay was her liking butterflies and having lots of friends. So, you know, a whole social butterfly analogy. It could be anything. It could literally be anything. And colleges just want to hear unique stories. For individual school essays though, make sure you do thorough research on the school, professors in the department you're interested in, clubs, etc. So a lot of, in fact, most universities, I can think of almost all off the top of my head, have individual school essays as well, where you have to write, it'll be like, write a 250-word essay or 500-word essay on insert obscure topic that you have to write on. So you'll have to answer that prompt, but also I would advise you to know the school really well. Like, you need to, when you're writing the essay, I would have at least 20 tabs about that college, and that's a minimum on my laptop at any given point in time. I would have certain professor websites open, I would have department websites open, I would have the clubs, I would have everything. And then from there, draw little lines. Be like, I'm excited to potentially work with Professor XYZ on her research ABC. And then the college is going to be like, wow, she's really committed to this school. Like, she's really excited to come here. Let's bring her in. Or, you know, I see myself being an active member. So for me, I was like, see myself being an active member in the Wellesley Debate Society, where I will blast. And one thing I saw on their website is they sing Taylor Swift songs